All right, he is the most. I need more more volume on the football. There we go. A football whimper is not going to cut it for this guy here. Randy in Cottage Grove, the most passionate Vikings fan we know. You can follow him on Twitter at RandyVikes69, and through his mock draft film study over the years, he has correctly nailed several Vikings draft picks correctly. Randy, it's rare that you get a chance to witness history as we did on Sunday, but a 33-point comeback has never happened before in the National Football League, and so we are looking forward big time to the stud stable this week, my friend.
I have a interesting confession about what happens Saturdays. Somehow I didn't realize the game was on Saturday, but maybe midway through the second quarter, I got a text from a friend. My phone can do text now.
That's nice.
And it said, "Get your ass to the bar, Randy. We need you." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "The game's going. It's not going well." And I turned it on. Oh, geez. So I quickly made my way to the bar. A lot of people left that game. I went to watch it.
Wow.
I went to sink my ass in a stool and dig in and help us come back.
Well, so wait, so you didn't even know the game was happening on Saturday?
I thought it was on Sunday, just out of routine, and I was doing some work around the basement, and I finally got a text. When I came upstairs, that I got reception, and it said, "Where the hell are you?"
Wow.
I said, "What do you mean?"
I would think most people would have maybe seen the score in the second quarter and not even bothered to go to the bar at that point.
I saw this when I finally got to the bar. It was halftime, and it was not looking good. And a lot of people were leaving, yelling, throwing stuff. And I said, "Let's go. Let's. This is now. I don't know what KOC said to the guys at the half, but I got there and there were a bunch of guys who were ready to leave the bar. So you sit your ass back down.
That's right.
This isn't over."
That's right.
You're just yelling at strangers you sit there.
Just held
some of the guys that we drink and we watch every game, and I goofed up. I thought it was on Sunday, and by the time I got there, it wasn't going well. And I said, let's rally. We got to start. There were apparently no shots taken in the first half. I bought 2 rounds right out of the gate, and we got loose, and we started to yell.
I love that.
And that game was, we willed them back. So did they. We all did. It was a team effort.
I'm really disappointed. Like, for you of all people, not to know when the game is. I'm shocked.
Well, now I know that the next one's on Saturday.
That's right. It's noon Central Time Saturday, and then they play again on New Year's Day after that. Just want you to be aware of the schedule.
Jeff, they didn't used to do they used to do Saturday games. Then they went away from it for a while. Apparently now they're doing it again. So they make it tricky to kind of keep track of stuff. But it was an honest mistake. I kind of like the Vikes in the first half. I didn't have my head in the game, and we rallied and we did a whole game of work in that second half, if you know what I mean. From a consumption standpoint, we got after it. We really did, and so did they. They put a game worth of stats up in 2 quarters, and so did we.
Yeah, I mean, wow, yeah, what a game to sort of stumble into obliviously at halftime. I guess I'm curious to know what your emotions would have been if you had sat through the entire first half. To sort of come in fresh like that is an interesting perspective. And by the way, you're wondering what KOC said at halftime. It was actually Patrick Peterson that delivered the big halftime speech saying, "Hey, offense, we're going to hold them. You just need 5 touchdowns. That's all you need.
We can do that.
I know you've scored like once in the third quarter all season, but you just need 5 touchdowns in the second half." And apparently that was enough for everyone to believe what was possible.
Colts are a good outfit too. They're a quality. That's a quality franchise. So I mean, we were only we were only favored by 3 or 4 points. That was in matter of fact, the sharps, as they say, were just about pegged it. Just about pegged it.
Yeah, they did. No, the sharps have not been high on the Vikings. Well, if you guys are ready I think a stud stable is in order here. The 11th stud stable of the season for the Minnesota Vikings, presented by our friends at Lake Ridge Liquors. Declan, if you're looking, you still got time to stock the cabinets for family gatherings.
Randy, it's the most wonderful time of the year, as you know, and I'm hoping you've made your trip to Lake Ridge Liquors there in Vadnais Heights, right off 694 and Rice Street. You know, you can Uber there. I know you're without a vehicle at the moment, but when you go there, Randy, and you stock up maybe on that 40-foot whiskey wall for some touchdown shots, and you go to check out, make sure you mention Score North, because they'll give you $5 in rewards on your next visit. You can just sign up through the rewards program. They basically are paying you to go into their store. So go check out Lake Ridge Liquors. It's off 694 and Rice Street.
Yeah, in fact, I was able to make a visit there.
Oh.
My friend drove me, and they have a kind of YAG I was not familiar with, the cold brew, YAG cold brew. It's a new kind of YAG. Right. I bought them out. I cleaned them out at the day I was there, but it's a good beverage.
Why am I not surprised?
YAG
Amazing.
cold brew. All right.
And he's safe, always getting a ride, being safe.
That's
our guy, Randy. So, all right, the floor is yours, sir. After an historic, unprecedented, never seen before comeback victory in the NFL's history, here is the stud stable from Randy Vikes 69.
This is as someone said a moment ago, number 11th heaven, as they say, and
that's
this
what
is
they say.
That's what they've said.
Excuse me. This is a stud stable. That was one that was really interesting because it really, all of it happened in the second half. All of it. It's almost like that was a tale of two games. And the first half game, from what I hear, was not good. And the second half was really impressive. And it's going to start with the guy who I wasn't aware he gave a halftime speech, but he's a guy who's always a tough customer, and he was going to be in this stable anyway because he's one of those guys who's just a leader, a vocal leader, and a guy who I think he can kind of harness some of this energy and be a real leader down the stretch here. And that's Patrick Peterson. Patrick, wow. I know how upset you were at the brass there in Arizona. Well, you need to channel that. PP. You need to channel that and put that into the arsenal as we kind of rolled into the playoffs. You need to picture every other guy you see streaking across the middle as someone who did you wrong, and you willed us, you helped us. Patrick Peterson, you're a stud.
Yes, let's get it.
Love it.
P twice, P squared.
He's a guy who had a run in this game. one of the big moments where we all just said, this is going to happen. We're going to win this game. And this is a guy who dragged people into the end zone, willed that touchdown, willed that tutty. And this is a guy who a lot of people earlier said he's lost a step, didn't look like it on that play. Delvin Cook, you're a super stud.
Yeah. I would argue that he did look a little like he lost a step toward the end there, and Ezra Cleveland had to kind of carry him into the end zone. But it was a great play. It was a great play.
Oh,
hater.
The backhanded compliment.
I'm not a hater. I'm just
hater.
A backhanded compliment.
It was a great play.
He's a guy who, didn't hear much from him in the first half because from what I understand, we didn't hear much from a lot of anyone. But as soon as I got there, I sat down. I saw him doing some great things. And built up a whole game worth of stats basically in a half. And that's a guy who's coming for all the records. He's coming for all the cash. Yeah, you better pay him. We're going to pay him. We're going to pay him big. And he's one of those guys who just can kind of will us again to these victories. So this week, Justin Jefferson, you're a super duper stud. And finally, I'm making a new spot.
Oh, wait, there's something above a super duper stud?
This is a spot that throughout the course of the year, I'm sorry.
Are you okay? Hold on. No. Whoa. Are you okay, dude?
Throughout the course of the year.
Hey, no, take a minute. Take a minute. We got you. Hey, let's go. Come on. We got it's okay.
It's okay, Randy.
We've all gotten to know this guy a little bit. And he's got our back. And he's like, I will ride with this group till they don't let us play any more games. I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. No, we got you. This is a safe space.
And that's KOC. Kevin, and you give us a new way to believe. And it's a sort of like a metaphor for life, as they say, that nothing's ever over till it's over. Nothing's ever out of reach. Kevin, KOC, you're a super duper amazing stud. I love you.
Wow.
What?
He lost it, just like KOC did, but worse.
What was the new category?
Super duper
Super
amazing
stud.
And then he declared his love for him.
Okay, I'll admit something.
You start.
Do we have the KOC? Do we have that on hand, Dex?
Getting loaded in here quick.
Okay. The first time I watched that post-game speech and his voice cracked and he had to stop, old Macadac felt a tingle. Just a little tingle. He didn't bawl his eyes out like Randy and Cottage Grove did there, but I felt the emotion. I felt the connection with the team.
Well,
I felt the football gravity of the moment.
It felt genuine.
Yeah.
And he gave me some goosebumps.
All right.
And so I would understand if you've been as invested as Randy and Cottage Grove. You know, well, let's see if we can get Judd to cry here.
All right, let's see if Judd Welch can.
When I tell you guys, when I tell you guys I love you, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, and that will never change. I will ride with this group until they don't let us play any more games. So bring it in tight, and then I want to hear you guys celebrate the 2022 NFC North Championship.
Can we dissect that for a second? Because here's what I love too. The way that it's not just that his voice cracked, but when he says, until they tell us we can't play any more effing games.
Oh,
like, but he could have
dude.
said,
That's a great
but he could have
speech.
said until we're done, or he could have said like
until
I love
it's they,
until
they, it's us
exactly.
against them.
But
until
I mean, how genius!
Yes.
And then the F-bomb is like, oh, like if he had said, until they tell us we can't play any more games, it's still good.
The F-bomb brings it to a new level. Yes.
And the proper use of the F-bombs there. I'm not going to tell you, you know what, kids, if your parents say don't use the F-bomb, don't, but that is expertise use of the F-bomb.
It is. Mike Zimmer took liberties with the F-bomb sometimes, right? Yeah. He would just be, Kevin uses it very strategically, I feel like.
Until they tell us we can't play any more effing games is genius.
He is, because he creates this us, and every coach creates the us against them, but he's kind of embracing like every game we play, we're not supposed to win because we're always shooting ourselves in the foot, and now it's the opposing teams are taking shots at Justin Jefferson, and he's building this amazing feeling of us versus the world, us versus the circumstances trying to hold us back.
Right.
He is brilliant in that setting. He is one of the best, and we've only seen 3 months of him, but he's great at that aspect.
I keep coming back to this point. He is wired like a star quarterback. He's got that it factor that a star quarterback.
You see why he was a third-round pick. He was a third-round pick, right? Who was completely flamed out as a player. Yeah.
Yes.
So the Jets saw something in him. The Patriots saw something in him. And Judd, you've kind of nailed this from the start, which is he's got all the intangibles, the personality, the leadership, the communication, the vision for scheme, but there must just be something with he can't throw a ball as accurately or as hard, or he's not the most athletic guy or whatever that prevented him from even being a backup for 8 years in the NFL. Right. But he's got all the other stuff. And it is interesting to see him plug this stuff into Kirk, who Kirk can throw the passes. Kirk is just athletic enough, and Kirk knows how to put in the film study. And for those, it's kind of funny because somebody hit me up yesterday. It was via email or Twitter, and we got into a little debate about that KOC is dragging Kirk down. That look at Kirk, this is the worst statistical season that he's having. And I've said, that's an interesting way to look at it. Like if you just kind of flew in from the outside and said, boy, look at Kirk's stats this season. What the hell happened compared to the previous 4 or 5 years? You'd be like, well, something's dragging him down. The new system or the new coach must not be working for him. But and we'll go over some of this on the Purple Daily State of the Offense episode today, but he's been so great when it matters compared to previous points in his career, and that's KOC. So maybe the whole scheme takes a year to really get used to put up the big numbers, but when it matters, the communication is clear, the expectation's clear, what Kirk is supposed to do is clear, and he is internalizing it. And so it's like you've said all along, Judd, Kevin is plugging his intangibles into Kirk's, and Kirk has some intangibles too, but not to that level. Like, you've never seen Kirk get up there and get his teammates emotional, right?
Well, not like that. I mean, Kevin owns the thing that he has is he owns the room.
Yes.
That's hard. And
Kirk leases the room with his catchphrase sometimes, though you like that.
And to be very, very clear, this is not an indictment on Kirk here.
Yeah.
This is owning a room. I mean, come on. There is a probably in reality a very small percentage of people that can actually do that like that. This is not to say that bosses can't, but you can't declare yourself, this is my room. It has to be organic. And when you see, I mean, O'Connell's post-game stuff, I don't know, in 4 years, it might be old, but I'm damn impressed right now. Like every time
it gives me chills, man. I love stuff like that.
Give me one post game that we've seen where you're like, oh, that was sort of mailed in.
No, it's
not.
I would be curious to see because they haven't posted the 3 losses, the post game discussion. I'm sure they do that on purpose, right?
Yeah.
They've posted the 11 winning post game celebrations, and
but it clearly works, right? Because they come back and win most of the time.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's great at it too. I saw they showed Matt LaFleur doing it last night on ESPN. Didn't quite have it. Didn't quite have it. He was very low key, and he kept repeating, okay, we need, all that matters is the next one, and we just need to spend the week getting our bodies and our minds right. Let's get our bodies and our minds right. And it was like, okay, I need a little more if I'm going to win the last 3 games against 500 teams or better. But Kevin O'Connell, brilliant at it, and it's just a small, I don't know what percentage of your overall coaching pie chart of praise if it's the only thing that you have and you can't prepare and scheme and teach and all those things, it doesn't matter. But then you watch Dan Campbell do it. Dan Campbell knows how to get guys riled up too. And he might not have any idea what he's scheming offensively, and he's looking at the fans doing the wave while his coordinator is doing all the work. But there is something to be said for just getting everyone together in that moment. You just got done with a 3-hour war of some kind, and getting everyone feeling like they're an army going in the right direction. And KOC and Dan Campbell know what they're doing in that post game.
And I will say too. Oh, go ahead. No, Judd, go ahead because I have an off-topic thing.
I was going to say, and the most important part of Campbell or O'Connell is that it's very sincere to themselves. So it's not this contrived, oh, you saw someone do this, didn't you? Which is, by the way, it is so obvious when you see a coach who comes in and he's from a coaching tree, but it's not real. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that the McVay tree has that at times, but I think you have to be comfortable. And that's the thing about O'Connell. And this goes back to him being a quarterback who's wired exactly right. Kevin O'Connell has an ability to know and see and lead that is incredibly sincere. I will peel back the curtain a little bit here, and I don't think I brought this up on the show previously because it didn't seem to fit, but it does now. So in training camp, when the Vikings had their when they put on the scoreboard, hey fans, let's keep what happens here stays here, and we all sort of yucked up about it. And it did seem to me like being concerned about people in the stands taking footage of what the Vikings were doing and being paranoid about that seemed a little bit much. So during the press conference, after that was posted on the in-stadium scoreboards, I asked O'Connell, I'm like, what's the purpose here? What's the point of this? And he said something. It was fine. So that day I was walking towards the fields and he sees me and he stops me and he goes, hey, come here. I'm like, yeah, what's up?
Hey guy.
And he goes, I just want you to know that I have a purpose with all of this stuff and you will see it play out. But I just want you to know, because he said, I saw you smirk, because I smirked during the course of his response.
I know this happened.
And he said, I saw you, smart. And he was not being a jerk. Like that's the thing about it. I've not seen him be, I've heard he can be a jerk. I've not seen it, but he's like, I saw you smirk about that. And I just want you to know that there is a purpose behind all of the things that we are trying to do here. And I filed that away because that can be complete BS at times. But in retrospect, he sells it. Like he, whether his intentions are completely on point or not, I think he firmly believes it, and he believes it in a positive way. And that's the last thing. I'll give him credit for this. The us against them is ordinarily the national media doesn't believe. Screw them. We're going to do this. Burnsy was genius at that, right? But that's a very negative, we're us against them, but it's us against them in this, here's the them, and we want at them because they don't believe. Kevin O'Connell never mentions, I don't think, the press. Kevin O'Connell, it's this mythical them, but he sells it really well.
Yeah, a myth. It is a mythical them. It's it's like the first half of the first season of Stranger Things or something. It's like, oh, there's some force out there that's kidnapping our kicker, or it's the underworld of NFL, and it's media, it's officials, it's opposing defenses. That's interesting, though, that he made a point to sort of follow up. Like most coaches would just like answer your question, dismiss it, and then move on. But he wanted to kind of circle back and make sure that that he's not just full of crap. So that was interesting.
Jax, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, if Randy's crying and Kevin O'Connell's crying, I mean, it is the Christmas season, and I feel like Judd Zulgad's yearly cry of a Wonderful Life is due in a couple days. I'm guessing
it's coming Christmas night.
So on the 25th or Christmas Eve, when do you watch it?
They usually show it Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I think Christmas Eve.
I think you're right, Phil. Yes, I think. And NBC, if I'm not mistaken, now airs it once a year, and I think it's Christmas Eve. I think you're correct. And halfway through, I prepare myself for the cry. I don't start to cry, but I start to prepare myself. But when we get to the end, when his brother comes back, and blah blah blah, and I'm just a mess.
Yeah, that's an emotional, heartstring tugging Christmas movie. I had mine last night, actually. I think it was on Freeform or it was either Freeform or AMC. They're both running Christmas movies pretty much every night.
What was it?
And it's the Santa Claus 2.
That's it?
With Tim Allen.
That's the one that makes you cry?
And there's a scene where he needs to find a wife before Christmas, or his time as Santa is up.
Okay.
And they find a new Santa. Spoiler alert. And so he is he's courting the principal of his kid's school, which is a little shady. But there's a scene where he's trying to get everything. They're at this lame office school teacher Christmas party, and everyone's being lame and no one wants to be there. And so he goes and finds all the presents that those teachers wanted as kids but never got. Like the Easy Bake Oven and the plastic boxer guys and the ring and stuff.
Yeah.
And he gives these teachers, these grizzled, angry teachers that didn't want to be at this party, all the gifts that they wanted and didn't get as kids. And I felt like I had a very fulfilled childhood. I got the gift, but it made me think about the great gifts that I had. It's like Toy Story 3.
Oh, wow.
Where he's giving away. It's like when a
deep.
piece of your childhood comes back and you think about
don't blame you one bit.
The toys and stuff. And so old Macadac gets a little misty during that part of the Santa Claus 2.
I like that.
I was gonna. For me, it's Family Stone, and there's like 7 scenes in that entire film that will cause me to audibly, not just like like the heavy breathing and I can't breathe cry. There's like 7 scenes in that film that make me do that. But I haven't done that one yet either because I've been trying to again, kind of like Judd. I have to mentally kind of prepare myself going into that movie. That all right, there's gonna be 6 scenes here that are going to make me audibly weep now in front of my fiance, and she's going to be potentially uncomfortable. Yeah, there's a lot.
Wow,
there's a lot of scenes in that movie that make me choke up.
How about, I know we've all seen it 5,000 times, but the end of Home Alone, where mom walks in, and the music is playing, doesn't tug at your heartstrings, even if you've seen it
I haven't
5,000
seen that in
times.
so long.
No.
Okay, you need to watch Home Alone again.
I don't even remember that. Okay.
We probably should have been doing Christmas movie rewinds here during the month of December, but the Vikings have 11 wins, and so
move that up.
We will do the movie reviews again at some point after Viking season's over. People are asking about action movie rewinds and stuff.
quick question. So I feel like more and more. And
Where are we going here?
This is not new. No, I got a Christmas question since we're on the topic of sadness at Christmas time or tears of joy. I feel like more and more I see stuff now about how Christmas is, how a lot of people at Christmas are like, they get sad, melancholy, blah, blah, blah. Isn't that sort of what Christmas is? And like if you've got hardships, I'm not talking about that. But Christmas time to me is a time of very much reflection, and it can be sort of sentimental for sure and sad. I feel like
It can be
there's
both.
this.
Yeah, it can be both.
I feel like there's this thing though where some folks think, well, yeah, it's supposed to just be happy, and I get sort of sad. I think the whole purpose is because yes, it's happy, but it includes a lot of things that harken back to being a kid. And
Yeah.
like it doesn't surprise me that there are days around this time of year where I wouldn't say that I am in a unbelievable rip roaring happy mood.
Yeah, well, this is the Dead Parents Club here on Mackey and Judd.
Yeah.
We're 0 for 6
Right.
on our biological parents and adopted parents. But I have felt times where, like, we're having an amazing, like this weekend, we're scooting around, where we went to a Christmas theme bar, and then later on, get a little sad because, I would have called my dad on a Saturday, and
Right.
he's not around for the first Christmas. So,
But then you also recall good things.
Yes.
But I mean, that doesn't mean that you're like rip roaring happy and laughing. I think that there's this. Yeah. I would have called my dad and everything. Yeah. I just feel like we've crossed this threshold where some people are like, well, I get melancholy this time of year. Of course you do. It's Christmas.
It's okay. Whatever you're feeling in the moment, it's okay.
Exactly.
Always. Yes. Don't resist the way that you feel, or you'll create more anxiety and suffering.
So
That's
my brother,
words
the
of wisdom.
richest man on the face of the earth, George Bailey.
By the way, when I say I love Federated, I bleeping mean it. I and we will ride with Federated until they tell us that we no longer have shows to record. And Federated's been helping us for years build this business at Score North, Purple Daily, Mackey and Judd. We appreciate them greatly. If you're looking for a guiding hand to help navigate the waters of business, Federated's been around for over 100 years, since 1904. Based in Owatonna, they're one of us, so to speak. And you can find them online at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, so Judd's gearing up later this week to cry his eyes out during, what's the movie again? It's a
Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a
been a
Wonderful
while
Life, Jimmy
since I've
Stewart.
seen it. Yeah.
Mary.
Kevin,
go, Clarence.
Oh, Kevin O'Connell.
Gotta go.
All right, we'll see you guys over on Purple Daily.